Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Sasha Reed. Thank you for joining me again tonight. I wanted to do a quick little card tutorial for you. I've been making some Christmas cards and I've been kind of having to go at various versions and have come up with something that's quite fun, quite quick, quite simple. That's going to help sort of fulfill 40 cards that I need for my neighbours and family and husband's co-workers. So what you're going to need for this card class is you're going to need some kind of basic shape. So whether you have a hole punch that can do sort of a solid image, whether you have some dies, like these dies here that coordinate with this stamp set, or I've got some of these Bauble dies that kind of go with that stamp set. I've got a intricate snowflake, but the outside image is a nice sort of solid image. Or whether you have got a crafter's knife and the ability to draw. You just need to be able to do a basic shape for this card tutorial. And then what you're going to need is some cardstock. I will link everything below that I use in the video. This cardstock that I'm using is from Lime Tree Crafts in the UK, and it's this stuff here. It's very thick. It's 300 GSM. It stamps really nice. It's not the one I was talking about in my last video. It's not the ultra smooth stuff, but I will link that below as well. That's ideal for stamping. And then you'll need some kind of sentiment stamp, or if your writing is pretty, then you could write it. Basically, this is just use what you've got, and I'm going to use what I've got. And I will try and throw in some suggestions if I can think of it along the way. So what I want to share with you is sort of my process and how I go through it. So this is my basic version where I just stamped it, stuck it together, kind of thought, wasn't sure about it. Then I tried stamping it, sticking it together, popped the sentiment. Then I stamped it, stuck it together, but popped the whole entire card. You can see it on foam there. Then I decided to add some shaker elements and a bow. Then I decided to stamp with the coordinating stamp and make a shaker card as well. And now, if I had planned this a bit better, I could have stamped the star at the top. The star comes in the stamp set that coordinates with these. That's kind of my little process. I'm going to show you how to make the shaker card version. You could do any of these versions. They all look just fine. And if you want a good postal size, then this is good because it's nice and flat. If you want a bit fancier for your neighbors or people you're going to hand deliver and you don't have to worry about thickness, then you could go for one like that. I'm going to share with you today how to make the shaker card, but stay tuned at the end. I'm going to post loads of photos of all the other cards I've made, the other versions of cards I made, so please stay tuned. And all the other cards that I've made, I will link everything below as well if I can. So what we need to get started is a basic card. So this is a standard UK card size, which is 29.7 centimeters long, which is the standard card size, by 10.5 inches wide. So, well, the standard card, but you're going to cut it in half to 10.5, which is 29.7 centimeters long. This is why I get frustrated with UK sizes, because you got the 0.7 by 21 centimeters wide. And what you're going to do is cut it in half on the short length. So you're going to cut it in half at 10.5 centimeters that way. Then you're going to fold your card in half, or you can score it and then crease it. But I find with it being such an odd number, I find it easier just to fold it in half and score it. Now, if you are in America or working on inches in another country, then it's worth looking at how long your cardstock is. I'm not 100% sure how long your cardstock is. And basically, you're just going to take the full length and then do half of the width. Then what I've done with my topper is I've made it 1 centimeter shorter on all sides, or 1 centimeter shorter overall, which gives me about half a centimeter on each side. So my piece of cardstock, my card topper, is going to be 13.8 centimeters by 10 centimeters, okay? And that's going to be my top panel. So what you want to do, I've got this set here, which I was having a look through for some solid shapes, which coordinates with my stamp set, which is quite nice. And what you want to do is pick one out that you want to do, or pick multiples. And then what you're going to do is eyeball it and try to aim for the center towards the top. Now I'm thinking ahead, and I'm thinking I might want to put a bow on the top, so I'm going to leave it down a little bit. Now what I've got is a pack of post-it notes. I know you can get purple tape and low tack tape. We can't get post-it note tape here. It's really expensive. So what I do is I take my post-its and I just trim off the paper bit. I don't trim off all the paper bit. I leave just that little bit there so that I can kind of pull one apart. And then all I do is I just tear a little bit off, and then I've got that low tack tape. Or you can go onto AliExpress and you can get one of these rolls which does the same thing, and you can get them in like a little feeder, and it's just a whole roll of low tack tape. But I found this was a bit big for what I wanted to do, so I decided to use some post-it notes instead and just cut them up. So what you want to do is make sure that when you put your post-it note tape down, try and get as much of the sticky as you can on the inside of your image, because when you run it through your Big Shot, this bit of tape might slightly emboss your paper, so you'll get a little bit of a dent where that post-it note is. So try and get most of the sticky on the inside, and then just a touch on the outside. So I'm just going to run that through my Big Shot now and cut out that image. Okay, so here's my thing that I've run through. I'm going to pull it off, and as you can see, I haven't got any marks on the paper. So thankfully, I've done that, but it's because I lived and I learned. So here's one of the stars I did. I don't know if you can quite see. You see that indent along the top just there? That was where I put the post-it note, too far over. So we live and we learn, and we remind ourselves what not to do. So I'm going to take that out. We don't need that middle bit. You can save that for a different project. Chuck that to the side. Then what you're going to need is a piece of acetate. Your acetate is going to want to measure 8 by 9 centimeters, or basically about half a centimeter away from all edges again, and then you don't need the bottom bit, so I don't bother worried about that. And you'll need some designer paper of some kind. I just cut a whole bunch of them up so I could start making in bulk. And you'll need some kind of designer paper in the same size. The same size will work. So you just pick anything you like. I've got some glitter in there as well. And I will go with this Christmas presents one, or Christmas gifts, I should say. And we'll do that. The first thing you want to do is stick some sticky around the edge. Stick that on the back, not the front. I have got this Sequin tape, which I really like. I find that it's really bendy and easy to move around, and I like that I can rip it. So I basically just leave it in one long strip and then just kind of manipulate it around. And it does get a bit bumpy, but that doesn't really matter because once I take off the paper, it's nice and flat. It's just the paper on the outside that kind of makes it a bit bumpy. So you just need enough to stick that acetate down. You can give a little bit extra if you want, just to make sure, just in case. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. Then what I like to do is take my bone folder and just kind of rub it down a bit, make sure it's nice and stuck down. I've got a pokey tool to lift my tape because otherwise I'm sat here forever trying to pick it off. And then what we're going to do is just stick our acetate over the top. We don't need to worry about preciseness because no one's going to see the back. So we're just going to stick it down. This is the nice thing about having a nice big image, is you're not worrying about all the fine details. Right, so now that that's on, we're going to take some foam tape. My preferred foam tape is this stuff from Alina. It is 5 millimeters wide, and it is absolutely perfect for shaker cards. And this stuff is the best I have found. You want to take off the release paper on the whole thing so it becomes more flexible. This tape, I looked everywhere for ages for stuff like this, and this is amazing. It is sticky, it is flexible, it is really, really nice. I've tried several different kinds. This is also the perfect width for shaker cards. I don't know where this bit of gold has come from. Let's get rid of that. It is absolutely perfect, and I use it all the time. I need to buy some more. I am pretty much out. So I'm going to... oh, my scissors are filled with gunk. So I need to order some more from Alina's shop. I love it. I keep buying it because it is such good quality and it is so perfect for what I need. Now the other thing to point out is Alina does sell a 10 millimeter tape as well, and she also does sticky back foam squares, and these are brilliant because they're all the same thickness. Now I would be using my foam tape, but I ran out on my previous card, so I'm going to use these little squares, which seems a bit silly and overkill because it's a lot more peeling of the backings. So I'm going to speed through this bit while I fill up the back. Now one of the fun things you can do is you can use some foam. So I have got the same thickness of foam that I'm just going to use to stick down at the bottom, so I'm not wasting my precious tape and my precious foam squares. So I'm just going to trim that down so that fits, and then that kind of saves me some money on my foam. So I'm going to stick that down at the bottom. Now this is my favorite glue in the world at the moment. I have that glue, and I also have some Gina K Connect glue, and I swear that that is the exact same glue in that bottle as the Gina K stuff. I've tried them both, I have played with them both, and you get about 4 times the amount for a fraction of the price in this bottle. So massive difference. Right, so the next thing we're going to want to do is fill in our shaker. So bear in mind that's going to be our background pattern. So I'm thinking maybe some whites, some crystals might go nice in there. I've got my little box from Alina's store, and this has got all my jewels in it, and I store everything in here. I love it. Fits really well. These are all from Alina's shop as well. I love these iridescent white ones. They are my favorite at the moment. They just kind of go with everything. And I think I might risk it and try maybe some of these blue ones, or do I go gold? No, let's go gold. Or even these ones will look pretty. Put some of those ones in there for some extra color. Now that's a bit full. Never mind, it's going to be a very full shaker card. Then next we're going to take off all these sticky backs. Right, next we are going to adhere our paper. We don't really have to look too much as long as we aim to get it sort of central. We've cut our paper centered nicely, and we're going to give that a nice firm press around that foam tape that we put in the middle. Always make sure that you kind of close your foam tape. Make sure it always touches at every angle, which is why it's nice that you can use this tape and manipulate it. When you do that, you won't get any leaking out sequins. There we go. Can't see much of our background. I've got lots of shaker bits in there. But it's really fun and pretty, and you get the idea that it's meant to be a really cool, pretty, shiny bauble. Right, next we're going to add some glue. I like to use liquid glue on the back, just so that I can then have a little bit of wiggle room and it can adhere onto my card base. So I'm just going to add some glue. Because we know it's 0.5 centimeter from the top, we can just line it up roughly with our eyes to make sure that is the same as that, is the same as that. And then we know that our bottom will be the same as well. Now, it wasn't until I flipped this over that I realized I completely forgot the most crucial point, which is to stamp your sentiment before you do anything at all. You're going to cut your shape and stamp your sentiment straight after. So do as I say and not as I do. I'm going to stamp it now only because I know I've got that solid bit of foam just there. So I'm going to stamp my sentiment, which is going to be Magical Christmas, which comes from the matching stamp set with this Bauble set here from Alina's shop, at the bottom there. And forgive me because I should have done this and it might go horribly wrong. I can feel it's uneven. Oh, thank goodness. I thought I got it on the bumpy bit. So please, when you cut your image, stamp first before you do anything else. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that is our card, and then we can think about maybe adding a bow on the top, like so. I got these bows off of AliExpress as well, and I think I'll just stick it down with a glue dot. I've got some glue dots from Alina's shop. These glue dots are brilliant because they're not too big, they're not too small. They're absolutely brilliant. I don't know how Alina's done so well with finding such great sticky stuff, but I use it all the time on absolutely everything. Right, there we go. And I'm just going to stick that right at the top of my bauble. And then we've got this beautifully sparkly bow. Now if you want a flatter one, then you could just tie some bows, but if you stay tuned now, you're going to see a whole bunch of pictures pop up of all the cards that I've already made. So thank you for joining me. I hope this was a bit of an inspirational, fun tutorial, and I hope that you get crafting with whatever you've got in your stash. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye for now.